we're not going to tell any of your Ron Jeremy stories. We'll save that for a future episode. Uh-huh.
We'll save that for when he gets convicted.
Uh-oh. Hey, I'm Raymond. You're watching RPAD TV 3000, where my guest today is Paul Semel. Basically, if you read a men's magazine in the 2000s and there were half-naked pictures of, people like Tara Reid or Nev Campbell, that's another good one. There's a very high chance that Paul wrote or edited the video game content in said magazine. I guess that's what you're best known for. That
or did the stories. I did a lot of those stories too. Not those two ladies in particular, but I did other. I did many Maxim covers.
And you had an interesting relationship with that Brittany Murphy, if I recall.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool. If I remember correctly, she liked the way you smoked.
Do you want me to tell that story?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. I mean, it's off topic, but okay. So, I was friendly with Brittany. I had interviewed her a bunch of times, and one time I was actually at her house doing an interview for the cover of Maxim.
Cool.
And she wanted to take a break at one point to smoke, and I was like, "You smoke?" And she goes, "No, but I'm gonna have to smoke for a role." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I told her this story about how I had been out at a bar in LA one night with a bunch of friends back when you could smoke in bars, and everybody else smoked, and at one point everybody started smoking at the same time, and I made a joke about how I felt left out. So my buddy Joe handed me a cigarette, and I started smoking, and I was just like, blah, 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 blah. And everybody got this freaked out look on their face. And I'm like, what? And they're like, you look so natural when you smoke. You look so relaxed. You look like you've been doing it your whole life. Like, we're all like fidgety and nervous, but you're all like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And I told her that story because I was like, I can teach you how to look like a smoker. And she's like, yes. And so I sat there teaching her this. And then she lived with her mom at the time. And so about an hour later, her mom comes home and she's like, Mom, Paul's been teaching me how to smoke. And I'm like, please don't do that. I want your mom to like me. But
so you're the bad influence.
Yeah, well, legally, I can't talk about that because what happened to her, sadly.
So today we're going to talk about two Marvel things, Moon Knight on Disney Plus and the movie Doctor Strange. But let's spend a few minutes catching up in stupid stories. I thought about you last week because I was having visions of doing different podcasts with my friends.
Okay.
And two of them that I thought of immediately were Fubar, Jose.
Right.
And I wanted to call our podcast Ray Fu. I think that works totally.
You'd have to get an illustration of the two of you in a kung fu pose.
Yes.
I don't know if there is an iconic pose from the TV show Kung Fu or I don't know.
It'll probably end up looking like the Charlie's Angels silhouette.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah, but that's okay too.
And I thought about doing a podcast with you and ripping off Logan Paul, who has impulsive. So we would be Ray-pulsive. I think that's excellent.
Does that mean I got to be a jerk and get into fights with people? Because
one of us would have to.
Okay,
you can do it, but I don't know.
I don't really think I'd hold my own in a boxing ring. So,
I used to box, so maybe I can be that guy.
Okay.
So Ray Fu with me and Fubar, or Ray-pulsive with me and Paul Semel. I think these are both excellent ideas. It's the start of my media empire.
As long as it does better than Trump's, I'm okay.
So you saw Doctor Strange in theaters.
I did.
Was it a press screening or
No, I just went on the Friday that it opened. Went to a movie theater near my house and I got myself a little donut from the that place in the next to the Grove in the farmer's market. I got myself a latte and just went to the new Grove Theater that's there now that took over.
I don't want to talk about the movie just yet. I want to talk about, are you comfortable going to movie theaters even? Like, this was probably my third movie since all the pandemic stuff started, and I just don't feel great in a movie theater with people.
Well, my thing is I go on opening day, the first screening. And I've been doing this before the pandemic. So I go at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Friday.
Right.
And for Spider-Man, which is the other movie that I saw in theaters since this started, that wound up being packed. This was not packed. It was more people than normally, but it was still fewer. Like, there was one person maybe 6 feet to the left of me, one person 6 feet to the right, nobody in the 2 rows ahead of me. So I was fine with that. I think that, like,
I keep waiting for you to start singing "Stuck in the Middle."
I thought of that too, actually. I was like, oh wait. I'm comfortable going there. Like, I'd be much more comfortable with that than going to a screening, because if it was a screening, it would literally be like a packed movie theater.
Right.
At least I assume so. I don't know. I haven't gone to a press screening since this all started, and I haven't even tried to. So I don't know what they're like. I know that during the pandemic they were doing them virtually. Like,
really? How would that work?
That's what I heard, is that you would have to go and sign in on a secure server and watch the movie on a computer.
Oh, interesting.
And there was no way of they had figured out a way that there was no way of downloading or anything like that. But they would only do it for like very specific people. So I wouldn't have gotten invited. They would do it for like, USA Today and the New York Times and people like that. They're not going to do it for like, some little blog. So.
Right. So for people that aren't familiar with how LA screenings work, like Paul and I used to go to these all the time. So, we would get invited to them.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about one of the screenings we went to. I was watching Free Guy on HBO. Oh, yeah. And I was thinking about, because Taika and Ryan Reynolds are in Free Guy, and they're also in that piece of shit Green Lantern movie, which we went to see.
Oh God, you're right. I always forget that Taika was in that.
And that was actually a premiere, wasn't it? I thought it was a press screening. So I was wearing like t-shirt with a hole in it and sweats. And then I saw a red carpet and I'm like, oh shit.
Oh yeah. That was one of those things where they did like the premiere in like one theater, and then they had like a press screening in another theater at the same time for some reason. Yeah. But we got caught up in like, we weren't like walking the red carpet. Like we were like behind the red carpet on like Hollywood Boulevard. I've actually been to premieres, which are weird. I'm very self-conscious, but yeah. But luckily I was dressed nice.
So let's jump into the content at hand. Let's start off with Moon Knight.
Okay.
I have no idea how you feel about it, but my guess was that you wouldn't like it. Am I wrong? Am I right?
You're not entirely wrong, but not entirely right. I liked it, but of the Disney plus Marvel shows, it's my least favorite.
Oh. See, my reasoning is, I know you don't like you tend to like the bigger characters, like the Batmans, the Supermans. So I was thinking like a guy like Moon Knight, usually don't like that level of character, I guess is the right word.
I mean, it depends on who the character is and like who you would put on par with that person. I mean, Moon Knight specifically, I don't have a particular love or hate for. And the Moon Knight stuff that I've read has been by writers that I like Brian Michael Bendis, I think, wrote.
Yeah, he had a run.
Yeah. So he's like a character that like I'm more about who the writer is than the character. Whereas Spider-Man, like no matter who writes it, I want to read it.
Gotcha. The other reason why I was guessing you wouldn't like it is because it's definitely weird. And I recall you not liking Doom Patrol, which I also think is really weird, but a series that I love.
I like stuff that's weird, and that's not why I didn't. I don't know why. I can't really sort of pinpoint why I didn't like it as much as the other ones. Although what I have been thinking the last couple of days since you told me you wanted me to do this podcast is I feel like Moon Knight is a really interesting origin story. And we just haven't seen the rest of it yet.
Okay.
And that I feel like my opinion of it might change when that happens. Like if they do season 2, season 3, if he turns up in other Marvel things, I feel like I might look back on this differently.
I see.
And I kind of liken it to, in a weird way, to Eternals, which I also didn't like. But again, I feel like if they go in part because I feel like I don't know where they go with it, but like I feel like if that goes somewhere, maybe I will appreciate it more. You know, because that's actually what happened with Captain America. Like the first time I saw Captain America, I was like, oh, okay. And then once the other movies came about and he turned up in the other movies, like I started to appreciate it more, and I went back and watched it again, and now I really, really like it. So, yeah.
What did you think of Poe Dameron as Moon Knight?
I thought he was good. I thought it was interesting. The person that actually jumped out at me as being really cool, and I don't know her name, is the woman who plays his ex-wife.
Oh, May
something. Yeah.
She
seemed really, really cool.
She kicked ass.
Yeah.
She was my favorite.
Yeah. And what I would really like to see more than even like a Moon Knight show is I would love it if they teamed her character and Ms. Marvel and Kate Bishop and maybe some other younger people into like a group together as like a kind of a group of like young Avengers who are like, you know, inexperienced superheroes, in part because I think that'd be really cool, but also because she's older than they are. And so she would be like
the den mother.
Yeah, kind of like, yeah. Cause she also seems to have like a much better head on her shoulders than Kate Bishop does. So like,
right.
Like, you know, we don't know what Ms. Marvel is going to be like. And, you know, and the also bring in like the woman who we'll talk about in a minute in America from you know,
right,
Doctor Strange. Like, you know, there could be like a kind of cool, and people have sort of said like they wonder if like this isn't the beginning of the Young Avengers, you know.
Well, they have a bunch of them already.
Right.
Let's revisit that later.
Okay.
How about F. Murray Abraham as Khonshu?
You know, one of the things that I really love about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that they get really good people to come and be in. And I'm always a little surprised, but always pleasantly surprised. Like when they got Cate Blanchett to do Thor, or, you know, when they got Michael Douglas to be in Ant-Man. Like, I love that those people are like, yeah, I want to do this. Like when Paul Newman was like, was it Newman or Redford? I always get those two confused.
Robert Redford?
Yeah, it was Newman, right? In Captain America?
No. Is it not? I thought it was Redford.
Was it Redford?
I'm gonna look it up on the computer.
I think you're right. I think it was Robert Redford. But whatever. Like when he said like, oh, I want to do this because I've enjoyed these movies and they remind me of like the action serials when I was a kid. I'm like, that's like the cool attitude to like have towards this stuff. I love that he was willing to look at it that way and do that stuff. So getting F. Murray Abraham to be the voice of Khonshu, like he did such a good job, and he was like just freaky as heck, and he was really, really good. The effect of him also was really good. Like that could have been really cheesy, like, you know, having like this floating bird head around, you know.
It looks great.
yeah, it was really cool, and there were really interesting things about that show. I will say this: I think in some respects, it's one of the more interesting of the shows.
Why are you saying fuck him? His first name is Fuck. It's him. Fuck.
Shut up, Ted.
Fuck Gary Gray. This guy. Yeah, he was phenomenal. Ethan Hawke also was great.
Ethan Hawke, I think we talked about this once before, but an actor who doesn't get their due. I think Ethan Hawke is another one of those actors that like is always rock solid, is always really good, and doesn't necessarily get the credit for being as good as he can be.
I don't like seeing him as Ethan Hawke, though. I like seeing him as the character and an actor that I don't know. Because when I think of him, when I realize it's Ethan Hawke, I'm still watching Singles in college trying to hit on this girl. And, and I'm like, oh, shit, that guy got old. That means I'm old. Like, God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
What did you think of the British accent? Some people love it. Some people hate it.
It didn't bother me, but I'm also not British. So, I'm sure if I was, I would know whether or not it was a good or bad accent.
See, that's one of the weird things is that it seems pretty split between the British people I know. Some of them think it's spot on. Some of them think it's, the worst British accent since Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
Right. But I think it's important to remember that he's not really British.
Yeah.
He just thinks he is. And I don't know, they never sort of established how long he's been living in London, but it can't be that long.
Right.
So the fact that he doesn't have a good British accent sort of fits, really. Although what was weird was like, that was apparently like a weird thing between him and Marvel where he was like, I want to do this. And they're like,
yeah.
And they were like, why? And I'm like, he lives in England. Why wouldn't, he thinks he's British.
He's mentally ill.
He's mentally, yeah.
Why would he not have an accent?
Yeah. It makes perfect sense that he would have an accent. So, yeah.
I thought Marvel was brave for even picking a character who's basically mentally ill Batman and giving him a series. I thought it was a really bold choice, and I love that they did it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that Marvel has been doing is they've kind of looked at their stable and been like, okay, we have carte blanche where people will watch this stuff no matter who it is. And so we can get away with doing like stuff with characters that are well known in comics world, but not well known in the outside of that. I mean, you think about it. Doctor Strange was like that.
Yeah.
Iron Man, in many respects, was like that. Captain Marvel was like that.
Well, Guardians were definitely.
Guardians was like that. And now they're starting to do that with the TV stuff. So I wasn't surprised. I also kind of think that if they're bringing him in, that there's going to be something that he's a reason why he's there.
For sure. I mean, Kevin Feige has all these grand plans laid out for years. So
yeah.
What was interesting for me is that in the comics, they classify him as a street level hero. So he's fighting crime on the level of, the guys that Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil, like those guys fight. But in the show, he's been like international man of mystery. He's in England, he's in Egypt, he's doing all this cool stuff.
Right.
So I thought that was I wonder if that has anything to do with where they're going with Phase 4 of Marvel.
I would think so. I mean, the callous part of me says, "Oh, that's to get an international audience to watch the show." The same way that the Fast and the Furious got those guys from Brazil that one time. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's part of it, but like, I think there's just something. Because I think Feige made some comment about, I don't know if it was specific to this, but he made some comment about like, we can't have every story be in New York. That's going to get like boring.
Right.
It's like, okay.
I mean, that does make sense, but in the source material, isn't it like 95% New York or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah,
but it's a new world. It's in many respects a smaller world.
Yeah.
So you said this was your least favorite of the Marvel TV series.
Of the Disney Plus ones, yes.
Right. For me, it is. I liked it a lot. Probably a little more than you did, but the stuff on Disney Plus has been so good that for me, I have it like second to last. I have it above Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Which I also enjoyed, but I just thought it took the least risks and was the least interesting. It was more like the movies than the other series, and it didn't get, WandaVision was cool and weird.
Yeah.
Loki had all the weird time travel-y stuff.
Yeah.
Hawkeye, I guess, was more straightforward, but it had enough original tone and content that I loved it.
Yeah.
And Florence is, I just love everything she's in. She's amazing. And I have to like Haley because she's part Filipino.
Oh yeah. I love her, but the scene with her and Florence, when Florence is just eating the macaroni and cheese, is just, I thought it was just absolutely amazing. That was one of my favorite shows. I do agree with you that the Captain, I was going to call it Captain America show, but the Winter Soldier show was sort of, it does seem like much more of like a bridge, like to try and get to, it seems like they were like, okay, we want to do the movie. How do we explain this? Even though it is kind of explained at the end of Infinity War.
Right.
I think they were like, we got to do something to kind of, and we can't do that in a movie, but it almost seemed like they could have gotten away with that in like a 3-episode TV show. Or if they had done a movie just for Disney Plus. Like, I don't think it would work as you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
But whatever.
So if you were to give it a school grade or a stupid number grade, I don't know, how would you rate Moon Knight?
B-? B?
That's funny. I was thinking B- too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of that's the thing. I think all their shows have been really, really good.
Yeah.
All of those shows have been really, really
all good. The Disney Plus shows have been high quality to various degrees.
Yeah.
Great effects, great actors, mostly good writing, although I think Falcon and Winter Soldier had the most, and it's not even that the show itself was boring, but it had the least interesting writing for me.
It was probably just an episode or two too long.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So we both like it, and we can't wait to see where things go next.
I'm so excited for Ms. Marvel.
Yeah,
I love that character.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite comics in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Although I do have concerns, like her, just from the clips I've seen, her powers look nothing like her, the comic books, because she's an Inhuman in the comics.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna. I mean, if we had this conversation before Doctor Strange, I would have been like, I don't know how they're gonna handle that, because they're basically pretending like the Inhumans don't exist. Although now, I did see one clip from the show where her fist was much bigger. Yeah,
she still does the embiggening stuff, but
yeah.
And I don't know how it's going to work, but it looks like she has magic bracelets. That's how she gets her powers.
Right. Which makes me wonder if it isn't something related to Shang-Chi or.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, how do you feel about Phase 4 so far? We're 4 movies in now, a couple of series.
It's leaving me very curious because I don't know where it's going. And the thing for me is I love Endgame. And I love that massive battle at the end of Endgame. And I love the stakes in Endgame. And so I don't know how you match that, let alone top it. But I feel like we should both be wearing t-shirts to say in Kevin, I have faith.
Yeah.
Because I know that he's got it all planned. Like, he knows where it's going. He's got it all figured out. And so I do think that, like I said earlier, I think at some point this will all make a lot more sense.
Right.
And we will get a sense of where a lot of this is going.
For me, I think it's really exciting right now because we don't know where it's going, and the content has been so different.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
I want to tell you a story, which I think is funny about Phase 4. There's this guy that I'm pretty sure you know. He was commenting about how he didn't like Eternals or Shang-Chi, but he feels better about Phase 4 after Doctor Strange and Spider-Man.
Okay.
And I just made a joke. Totally didn't mean it at all. And I didn't mean to say he was racist at all, but I'm like, so you only like the white superheroes, huh? And a friend of ours found it funny too. But then he blocked me on Facebook because I said that. Oh. And I'm like, what a humorless prick you are. Like, I always thought this guy was arrogant for no reason, but that just seals it. What a dick. Like, so I got that out of the way. Now, all
right,
let's talk about.
You'll have to tell me who that is after we're not in a position you can get sued.
Why? I can't say someone's a prick.
Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are anymore.
It's America. He could sue you even without reason. So
I've learned a new word because language is so weird. Like, there are things that that we're not supposed to say anymore that were totally cool 20 years ago in Kevin Smith movies. But, right. And I want to talk to our friend Shane Bettenhausen about this, because I last time I saw him, I learned that we're not supposed to say crazy anymore because it offends mentally ill people.
Okay.
And I had no idea that was a thing. I get that we're not supposed to say the R word,
right,
for similar reasons. And that I understand, but it also ruins my favorite Black Eyed Peas song. So a lot of people,
didn't they re-record that word?
Yeah, they can. The original song, for people who don't know, was "Let's Get Redacted in Here," and they re-recorded it to be "Let's Get It Started in Here,"
right?
Because the R word is now redacted.
I that somewhere in some movie or some episode of The Simpsons, there's a version of that called "Let's Get Redacted in Here."
Oh yeah. And I'm totally leaning into that. I call people redax now. Like, God, I'm leaning into it. Like, I don't know what the rules are of language anymore. There's some younger people I hang out with that always correct me with pronouns. And I'm like, I don't know. How am I supposed to know that that's a they when I've just met them?
Right.
Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to know that.
Yeah, that stuff is tough. And I say that as a guy who's in his mid-50s. But one of the things that I would also sort of say is, at one point I did misgender somebody. And it was somebody that I knew they used they and them as their pronouns. It was an author that I interviewed for my website, and I had accidentally misgendered them. And they sent me an email and they said, "Hey, sorry, you misgendered me on social media." Not in the story, but on social media. And so I quickly fixed it and changed it. And it was weird because I felt terrible about that all day. And I was like,
but you knew though.
Yeah. But what was interesting is it's something that I never would have thought of 5-10 years earlier. And now Absolutely. It was oh, not only am I aware of this, but it bothered me so much that I screwed up.
As well it should, because you were being redacted.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, it is. I do think though that if you are somebody for whom your pronouns are not the obvious choice, I guess, I don't know how to word that. I feel like you almost, with older people, have to be a little patient
Yeah, that is the okay boomer moment there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, let's hop into the next topic, which
Okay.
is wait. Let me get some reverb.
Okay.
Doctor Strange. He casts spells and others feel the pain. Okay. Always wanted to do that. What is that guy up to? Jay Zonde.
I don't know. He was on Robot Chicken a couple years ago, but after that, I don't know.
So Doctor Strange
Yes.
is one of the most unique Marvel movies, unique MCU movies ever. And I loved how it leaned into the horror and thriller aspects. I wasn't expecting it would go that far, given who the director is. I'm glad they let him go full Sam Raimi on it.
Right.
How did you feel about the general tone of the movie?
I mean, it was what I kind of expected. Knowing that it was, because especially given what they had done in the first one, and who the character is, and you're dealing with this sort of H.P. Lovecraft occult kind of stuff. And,
yeah, that is true.
And one of my earliest Marvel memories actually is watching the old Spider-Man cartoon. You know, the Spider-Man. And there's an episode of that where he teams up with Doctor Strange and he goes into this like weird universe. And it's one of the freakiest things I had ever seen at that. It freaked me out as a little kid.
I don't remember that one at all.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
He's like, I mean, it's him swinging like he does in like New York, but like there's all this weird like globular stuff behind him. And like he goes through a mirror. It was really cool, but like it's freaky as hell. So I expected that. The one thing that I did think and didn't get, and I'm thankful for, is I was worried that Sam Raimi was going to go full Sam Raimi on the special effects, which look really cheesy. And it's fine in Evil Dead's movies where, or the Evil Dead TV show, where it's supposed to be somewhat humorous, and it really wouldn't have worked in this. And I was glad that the special effects were up to par on this, if you will.
They were. I think it was a perfect blend of having the high quality, realistic Marvel stuff and the weird, freaky, like the eye monster at the beginning. I'm like, yep, that's one of his movies.
Yeah, but it looked way better than if he had done it like, if Marvel wasn't overlooking his shoulder, it would have looked a lot cheesier and a lot more like a rubber thing. But he did get to do a lot of the Sam Raimi stuff, like when he slowly turned the camera, and stuff like that. And the
zombie chase scenes.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you feel about the first movie? Because for a long time, to me, that was the worst MCU movie.
Well, it's never been the worst MCU movie for me because of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I think that one's like Rocky V to me, and I don't acknowledge it.
Yes, a lot of people don't. I thought the first movie was pretty good. Like at this point, for me, Marvel movies fall into one of three categories. And this is going to sound a little weird to people, but whatever. Either it's good enough that I want to own it on Blu-ray. It's good, but I don't want to own it on Blu-ray, and it's not good. And the only two that fall in the not good are Eternals and the Hulk.
Oh, wow.
So everything else, most of the movies fall like in either one of the two other categories. And it was decidedly in that middle category, with like Ant-Man and whatnot. Like it was good, but not good enough that I would want to own it. I think this one was better, still in that middle part though.
See, I have it. I agree. For me, it's also in the middle category, but it's also, I think it'll be highly rewatchable for me. There are things like, I think The Winter Soldier is one of the best MCU movies.
Yeah.
But it's not something I can watch all the time because it's kind of heavy. Whereas even like Age of Ultron gets a lot of heat for not being as good as the others. But I can watch that anytime because it's dumb fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Doctor Strange falls into the highly rewatchable category.
Well, one thing with, I think, all of the Marvel stuff, sort of once Phase 3 started to come to an end, like before they got to Infinity War, but when they were moving towards it with like Civil War, is I feel like the first time I watch it, I'm trying just to take everything in and like see the connections and this and that, and I feel like I have to watch the movie like a second or third time to really get a sense of like where it falls. Like Thor Ragnarok is like the perfect example of that, because like the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And then this, like by the third or fourth time I've seen it, I'm like, this is really, really okay. I don't like that part, but okay, the rest of this is really, really good. And so, I'm excited for Doctor Strange to come on Disney Plus in, I guess it'll be like 2 months or whatever it is, because the window is so small. And to watch it like a second time and maybe a third time and see how it shakes out.
I actually saw it twice in theaters.
Oh, okay.
Because Regal, that's the chain that's most common around me.
Okay.
They have like a Tuesday like discounted tickets. I forget what it's called, but I decided since we were doing the podcast this week, I'd see it again. And
how much of a discount was it?
I think for the regular theaters, it's like $7, but I saw it in the IMAX 2D and it was $12.
Okay. That's still pretty deep of a cut. I mean, because figure the normal one was probably 15 for the regular.
Yeah.
Screen, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
there is one thing that I wanted to point out. This is a weird topic. It's about the marketing of the movie.
Okay.
I thought it was really, it's funny because people always complain about like, commercials and trailers tell you too much and too much and too much. And I thought it was really interesting how they totally misled you to think that like he was teaming up with Wanda.
Yeah.
Not that Wanda was the bad guy. And like, I love that she was the bad guy, but I was like, when I realized, that's where they're going with this, I was like, because they really made it seem like, okay, it's Wanda and Doctor Strange teaming up to fight.
Yeah, exactly. I felt the same way.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to make Mordo like really weird and powerful or something.
Right. I mean, he would have been the obvious choice because where they left it in the second movie, but like, or they could have brought Dormammu back, or who knows.
Although Mordo, there's another guy, the actor. I cannot see him in anything without thinking of Love Actually. Like he's always, he's like, just give him a quid and tell him to bugger off.
Right.
Keep thinking of that guy.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I thought going in was that it was going to be much more connected to Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like if you had asked me, what do I think the movie's going to be about? I would have said, well, in Spider-Man, he messed with reality and then he fixed it. But in this movie, it turns out he didn't fix it as well as he thought. And so he's got to fix it again. To the point where when they were fighting that Cthulhu thing in the beginning, I was waiting for Spider-Man to show up.
Yeah.
And also kept looking for Ned because I thought for sure they would bring him back.
I was hoping for that.
Yeah, I was really hoping for that because I love that guy.
Yeah.
But like I thought Spider-Man was going to show up when he was fighting like the tentacle monster. And then that would be like tied in, but then it has nothing to do with Spider-Man. Like it doesn't ignore what happened, but it's not like
I beg to differ, sir. They have a very important conversation about Spider-Man at the diner.
Oh, right.
Where America Chavez asks if Webb comes.
Oh God, that was great. What's funny for me is that on the Venture Brothers, Nathan Fillion does the voice of a Brown Widow, I think the character is called, who actually does shoot spider webs out of his butt.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. I need to watch that. Although I want to watch the old school Spider-Man Doctor Strange team up.
Oh God, that's weird.
Probably
that freaked me out as much as the Sleestaks in Land of the Lost.
I still find them frightening.
Yeah. They also freaked me out when I was a kid. So
let's talk a bit about Wanda. I thought Elizabeth Olsen had a tremendous performance.
Yes.
But I couldn't help but wonder throughout the movie, like how do they receive this character if someone didn't watch WandaVision? Does it make less sense? Does it not hit as hard?
I mean, it's impossible to know because I've seen WandaVision. I would think that you would understand what happened because they did a job of explaining it, but not. I mean, but no, it can't possibly have the same resonance because you didn't see her with the kids.
Right.
And it's one thing to be told, oh, she did something weird and made kids, and then like they're not real, and now she's like trying to find them. You know, because if it had been like, because the thing is, if the kid thing had never happened and it was just about her trying to bring back Vision, you can make sense of that from the movies if you've only watched the movies. But the kids are very much of the TV show, so I would think it wouldn't have nearly the resonance.
And the connection she has with the kids in WandaVision, it's a beautiful and powerful thing. So you understand the grief more in the movie. Whereas if you don't know the series, she comes off as more, hey, crazy magic lady.
Right. But except that if you are a parent, I'd be willing to bet that stuff resonates for you in a way as well, because what you take away from it is, oh God, this woman had kids and they were taken away from her or killed, and I can imagine what I would do if I lost my kids. So I would think that people who have kids, unlike you and I, as far as we know, you'd have that resonance there as well, which is something that happened when people watch WandaVision. Is people who had kids were like, oh God. Like, I can't even imagine the hell of this.
But there are still conjured kids. I don't know if that makes a difference at all, or
not to her. It doesn't.
Right.
That's the thing. And we might look at it differently, but like, she certainly doesn't.
We have Zach Morris. Hey, Zach Morris, what's up, man? A nice little 5-minute backstory at the start of the movie would not have hurt. I agree. They gave it maybe 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And she mentioned shooting a hole in Vision's head, but she doesn't really talk about conjured Vision from what was the name of the town again? Totally forgot.
Oh, I don't know. I know it's in New Jersey somewhere.
Yeah, like, didn't you live next door to there or something?
Well, New Jersey's a big place. I don't know. My geography of New Jersey is terrible too. So I don't think it's a real place.
New Jersey? No, I've been there. It's a real place.
Yeah. I think they just made it up for The Sopranos.
But Elizabeth Olsen, awesome.
Yes.
I think we agree with that. To me, her performance was the most outstanding performance in the movie, and I think one of the best in any MCU movie.
She's really, really good, and she's really good in that role. Westview, thank you.
That's it. Thank you, Zach Morris.
Yeah, that sounds like a town in New Jersey, too.
It's next to Cherry
she
Hill.
was really, really good. I also really liked the Sochi, I think her name is, the woman who played America Chavez.
Yeah.
She was really, really good too. Very likable, very, believable.
Had that innocence of being, like a young teenager.
Well, I think she is. I think she's only like 16 or something like that. Like, it's not like a 24-year-old playing like a 14-year-old. Like,
it's not the cast of Cobra Kai.
No, this isn't Beverly Hills 90210 where like Andrea was like 53 at the time. Yeah, she was really, really good. I don't really understand why she's training with Wong at the end, but okay. And Wong is always really, really good. That guy
Wong's awesome.
Yeah, I love Wong. But like I'm with you, and I would have really liked to see Ned show up there and like.
Yeah, I was. That would have been cool if Ned was training with America at the end at wizard school.
Yeah.
But America Chavez, you brought up Young Avengers before,
right?
I love that comic book. We already have America Chavez, Kate Bishop, the imagined Billy and Tommy. So you got 4 Young Avengers right there.
Right.
From what I understand, they are doing a series, but that's a few years off.
I mean, I know they're doing Ironheart.
Yes,
as a TV show. So it almost sounds like they're going to try and do a cross between Young Avengers and the Champions, because you got Ms. Marvel in there,
right?
And you could very easily just sort of mix those two together. Like it's not like anybody would get, somebody would get mad because somebody gets mad about everything, but that would be like a good way to kind of mix these like younger superheroes together. I think, but again, I think you would need somebody to kind of
adults.
Yeah, like you need like an adult, but I don't know who. I don't know whether you get Bruce Banner to do that or you get. I don't know.
Too expensive.
I don't know. He's going to be in the She-Hulk show.
Is he?
Yeah.
Like a lot, or
I don't know, but he's supposedly going to be in it. And they got Don Cheadle to do
one scene.
No, he's going to do another show. They're doing some show with him and War Machine. I can't remember the name of it, but like they're doing something with him. I mean but this is the thing. Disney Plus is doing super well, and so they can probably afford to get these guys, especially because you're not talking about a huge commitment. You're talking about 6 episodes. It's probably the equivalent of shooting a movie. You pay Don Cheadle what you pay him for a movie. There you go. You got Don Cheadle.
Armor Wars, says Zach Morris.
Thank you. Armor Wars.
I totally forgot they were doing that. Thank you very much.
Well, they haven't announced much of anything, and I don't know whether that's before the Ironheart show or I think it's before, not after.
Zach Morris, while you're here, I had this idea.
Fact checker.
So Zach Morris is a friend of Jose's, Fu Bars. And I don't think he was here earlier when I mentioned that I want to do a podcast with Fu Bar called Ray Fu. So Zach, you are a graphics genius. You can do our intro video. We can maybe do a riff on everybody was Ray Fu fighting. Will that work? I don't know.
I thought you were going to say we could do a riff on Everyone Loves Raymond, and I was like, oh, God.
No. I mean, Jose would be the star, even though I get top billing.
Yeah.
I'm the Ed McMahon or the Andy Richter.
Are those bad way to go?
Do we have those guys anymore on talk shows? I'm trying to think. Fallon still has Higgins.
Yeah. I mean, Colbert talks to John Baptiste sometimes.
Yeah, that doesn't count though.
That's more like a Doc Severinsen kind of thing. No, not really.
Oh, Corden has
Reggie.
No, he has the comedian there, Ian Carmichael.
Oh,
yeah. Sweet. Okay, we have proof. We're gonna throw ideas at Zach Morris, and he's gonna do cool graphics.
Gotcha. Cool.
Let's move on to the Illuminati.
Oh yeah.
I totally marked out at all of that. I loved John, what's his face, as Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, the office guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The yellow wheelchair from the X-Men 97 cartoon.
Right. Which they're bringing back, by the way.
Yes. I kind of like how, as Patrick Stewart is getting older and closer to death, he's looking weirder and more like Professor Xavier than ever. Was that messed up? Should I have said that?
That's okay.
What did you think of the Illuminati?
I thought it was a cool scene. I love that they, the office guy, that was a bit of fan service. I liked that they had the other woman be Captain Marvel, especially because like I could just imagine her being at home watching WandaVision, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, like that my character's dead. Oh, man. Because that she was hoping to turn up in the Captain Marvel movie. I actually, even though I don't like the show, I did think it was cool that they brought Anson Mount back to beat Black Bolt.
Yes. The show was garbage, but I love humans as characters.
Yeah, and he seems like a nice guy too. I started watching the Star Trek show that he's doing, and I only watched the first episode, and it was pretty good. So I thought that was cool, and I loved how he died. Like, it never occurred to me, like, oh yeah, if you put your hand over his mouth.
I love that Doctor Strange made a joke about having a tuning fork on his head.
Yes.
I always do that, and I play musical instruments and I have tuning forks, so every now and then I'll tape one to my head. I'm like, here's my Black Bolt costume.
Yeah.
You were sad about
pretty cool.
Agent Captain Carter made you sad.
Yes, I love Captain Carter as a character. I love Haley Atwell as an actress.
She's hot as hell.
The way she died, fitting, but I was like, oh man, did you have to?
Oh man, I meant
to get it, but
I meant to bring this graphic for you. They have a Lego figure of her as Captain Carter.
Right.
So someone split it in half, and I'm like, this is how she died in the movie.
Man.
I thought you would have got a kick out of that.
I would have. I mean, it was a brutal way to die, but a good one, but a good death, as the Klingons would say.
Yes.
I was just bummed because there was a part of me that was hoping that maybe this is how they would bring that character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I'm trying to figure out how they're going to bring in the Fantastic Four and the mutants and Deadpool, because I can't figure out exactly how they're going to. I mean, I'm sure they have a plan, but I just can't figure it out.
I mean, once you go down the multiverse and time travel rabbit holes, you can basically do whatever you want.
Right, but I guess that's the thing is, are they going to just start to bring, the Fantastic Four from another universe into that universe? Are they going to start to bring these people in? John Krasinski, thank you.
Yes. What do you think of him playing Mr. Fantastic going forward? Do you think that was purely one and done? I would love to see it, but I also think it's one and done.
I think you may be right, because I think when they introduce him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're going to make him younger.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as he said,
Miles
he has kids.
Younger.
Yes. They're going to, I think, in fact, they're even going to go younger with it. I think they're going to make him, really? I think they're going to go Ultimate Fantastic Four young.
Wow.
Not high school, college age. I think they're going to make him spite rep so that he's not yet with Sue. He doesn't have the kids. Because if he was older, if he's John Krasinski's age, where's he been this whole time?
Right.
And they wouldn't suddenly be like, oh, he's in the Fantastic Four, but he has kids. That doesn't really make, a lot of sense.
And I kind of don't want to see Franklin Richards just yet, because he's stupid powerful in the comics, and that would introduce it would be a cheap gimmick in wrestling terms.
Yeah. And I think like we've been discussing, I think they're trying to bring in younger people.
You have to, if you're going to sign them for multi-movie deals.
Right. Yeah. Cause you don't want, they probably don't want a repeat of what they're getting now with Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., where both those guys within a few years are all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
So.
Although it would have been cool to see Chris Evans as Captain America meeting whoever is the new Human Torch and being
that's hey, true.
You look familiar.
Yeah. Although I also really want to know what happened when he went to Vormir and saw the Red Skull.
Right.
Like, what was that a conversation like?
Maybe it crossed over even more, and Red Skull was like, Mr. Anderson. No.
Yes,
like,
except it wasn't that guy. It wasn't Hugo Weaving when they got there.
That's right. They replaced him.
Yeah.
Although, didn't they do like some digital voice thingy? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think that guy just sounds like that because he's done that voice also on Robot Chicken, and he just sort of sounds like that.
Oh, I didn't see. You watch way more cartoons than I do, and
yes,
you have this vast wealth of knowledge that I don't possess.
Yes, I have a vast wealth of knowledge about Adult Swim cartoons.
But I have deeper knowledge of mediocre CW superhero shows.
That's true.
Let's talk about the mid-credit scene with Charlize Theron.
Oh, yes.
I love that character, Clea, and Charlize is gorgeous, and that costume was just wow.
Yeah, she's again, going back to what we were talking about with F. Murray Abraham. Like, she's somebody who you wouldn't have expected to see in a superhero movie, 20 years ago, and or if you did, you would think like, oh God, has her career really gone that bad? But like, she's top tier, and she's like, hey, I'm in this. I hope that they actually go somewhere with that. I assume they will, because why would you bother?
Right, which is odd because that piggybacking on Zach Morris's question, I expect to see her back because you don't hire her for a 1-minute mid-credit scene,
right?
And it makes sense going forward where maybe an older Mr. Fantastic does not,
right?
But that's pure conjecture.
Yes,
but that's what we do on podcasts.
Yes. Yeah.
Talking about Marvel getting younger. Yeah, but it's Charlize. She will be hot at 70.
Yeah, she doesn't age either.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, you kind of, because in the comics she's romantically involved with Doctor Strange. You cannot have a big age gap there either. So
that's true. She's age appropriate for him.
For Benedict.
I think she would be even older than Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, this is interesting. See, Zach Morris, when we start Ray Fu, you would be the guy looking up this info. But
how old is Charlize versus how old
I'm looking up
Cumberbatch is?
Benedict Cumberbatch age. He is 45. He is younger than I thought.
Okay.
So I think Charlize is older.
Yeah, but not by much, I don't think. I don't think she's mine.
She's 46.
Okay, there you go.
5'10".
Yeah.
Getting measurements here? No. I didn't realize Benedict Cumberbatch was 6 foot tall.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Doesn't she marry Doctor Strange and become Doctor Strange? Yes, she does. I don't know. She doesn't become Doctor. She becomes master of the mystic arts for a while.
She becomes the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes. Which is currently held by Wong. I love that that there's a cool Asian guy in a movie for once. For the first time since that's one of the reasons I love Big Trouble in Little China so much, is that there was a cool Asian guy in a movie, which in like the 80s and 90s, that just wasn't a thing.
No. Did you see that I think it's the guy in Big Trouble in Little China just got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
James Hong. That's right. What an amazing career that guy has had.
Seriously. That guy's cool.
Big Trouble in Little China, Kung Fu Panda, Revenge of the Nerds 2.
I think he was in Blade Runner too, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
I think he's the guy who makes eyeballs.
I think you're correct.
I think he's like the eyeball guy.
But
he's done like a ton of things. Yeah, he's great.
Oldest person to receive a star.
Yes.
In 93.
Yeah.
That has me delighted.
Yeah.
And he was awesome in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I need to see that. I haven't seen that movie yet. I really want to.
It is available digitally next week.
On what?
On everything, Apple, Amazon, for purchase.
Okay.
It is here. It's out of theaters in Henderson, Nevada. It's still in some Vegas theaters. Since you live in a real city, you could probably still have more choices than I do. I was actually surprised it was showing at as many screens as it was here. That had me delighted.
Yeah.
Zach Morris adds, have not heard one bad thing about that movie. Yeah. Although Michelle Yeoh, because I'm a big Bobby Lee fan. He did this really shitty movie with her about, I think it was some like cooking movie in Thailand. And they were having dinner, a fancy dinner, and he was joking around with her. And he's like, wow, I'm such a fan of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's like, can you teach me how to like run up walls and trees? And then she snapped at him. She's like, that's wire work. And he was annoyed. He's like, does she really think I was that stupid that I didn't know it was wire work?
She might have. It is
Bobby Lee. Like, who I love, also one of my heroes. In the 90s, he was like one of the only youngish Asian guys on TV regularly.
Right.
And I think he's hilarious, and I love his podcast. Big fan of Bad Friends. I think it's one of the best podcasts ever. And I also like that it's an Asian guy and a white guy.
Right.
And they have. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I really like Michelle Yeoh, and I love that she's had this career resurgence the last couple of years of like, she was so good on Star Trek and just like all this other stuff. Like I love that she's been getting all this like extra cool attention.
Well, speaking of resurgence, it got Short Round a job. Like,
that's true.
Like he was in Goonies and Temple of Doom, and then like decades of nothing.
Yeah. Well, didn't he like walk away from it too?
Yeah, he said he couldn't find work.
Right.
And he just, went into a different field of work. He said Crazy Rich Asians inspired him. And that must have been confusing. It was for me. I'm like, there's way too many Asian people on screen for an American-made movie. Like, what's happening here?
That's a good movie, though. I have to say, I normally don't like. I'm not a big rom-com
like Asian movies.
No, I normally don't like rom-coms, and I that one I really liked.
God,
so many good people in that.
Yeah, cast was tremendous. It even had a mid-credit scene with a dancing Asian from Glee. But I do like rom-coms, and even like really shitty ones. When I was working at GameSpy, there was actually this girl that I was friends with. We were rom-com friends, and we saw every shitty rom-com available. Like I saw Win a Date with Tad Hamilton with her.
Oh God.
I just said that out loud, and it's in the public forever. But
yeah, no.
I was just thinking about there's a company called Mar Vista Entertainment. They make a lot of direct to Netflix movies.
Okay.
Including some truly shitty rom-coms, but I watch them. I am their audience. It's probably why I'm single now.
Redacted.
Yes, I am redacted for rom-coms. So Doctor Strange, where does it's in the mid-level, but that sounds
it's in the mid-level. It's above the first one.
Oh yeah.
But I would say it's probably in the upper half of the middle. I would say that's like a B to a B plus if we're going back to the grade school.
Sure, why not?
From the 70s. Again, I think I need to sort of see it again, but like I do like it. I like the implications for the future, and Benedict Wong is really good, and Benedict Cumberbund, as you call him, is everybody was really good, especially Elizabeth Olsen.
Tremendous.
You know,
Absolutely tremendous.
The ending, by the way, this with Bruce, whatever his name is,
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
That was hilarious.
Yes.
That was absolutely, hilarious. And I always loved seeing that guy. So that was really, really good.
When I saw Doctor Strange a second time, the people behind me were younger. Maybe they sounded like 20s.
Okay.
So they were really pissed at that scene. They're like, who even the fuck is that guy? And then I'm like, like Ash Evil Dead. No, you don't know who he is in relation to the director. And I'm like, oh, kids.
Yeah. Though not every joke has to be for every person. It's okay if there's jokes for us older people, just as it's okay if there's jokes for you younger people.
Hey, I'm younger than you by a lot. Well, maybe not a lot, but I will.
Yeah, but not young enough where jokes for me don't work for you and vice versa.
That's true.
So
that's true. Although I do have an old sense of humor.
If they can have jokes about TikTok people that I don't understand, then you can deal with an Evil Dead joke.
Now, random question. Do you feel like there's too much quality content these days? Because Moon Knight just ended, and now we have Ms. Marvel and Obi-Wan. Like, I'm like, come on, I need a break, guys.
No. Well, first of all, we're getting a break from Disney for 2 weeks before Obi-Wan starts.
Right.
Although there's the Paramount stuff, Star Trek stuff, so that I have.
Halo for people.
Halo.
That.
Yeah. No, I've not for me, because I still watch network television, and the number of good network shows have gone down considerably. They've started to lean hard into like reality shows and game shows and things like that, which I just don't care about.
I do not watch network TV, so tell me what's good these days.
I mean, I still like the Law and Order shows. I really like FBI.
I don't know what that is.
FBI is another police procedural made by Dick Wolf. It's a little sort of more hardcore than it's sort of more hardcore the way that Law and Order used to be, sort of more gritty.
So who's in that one?
Missy Peregrine, who you might know her if you saw her. She was in a very cool movie called Stick It about teenage gymnasts. That was pretty good. Jeremy Sisto is in it.
I do not know her. I'm looking at her now.
Oh, okay. Jeremy Sisto, who used to be on Law and Order, is in it. Alana de la Garza, who used to be on Law and Order, is on it.
Hey, she was married to Shazam for a year.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah. Yes. I don't remember who else was in it.
I'm looking at the cast now, and I don't know any of these guys.
Well, you wouldn't know. I mean, like the first couple of people, you probably wouldn't know. Like, you wouldn't know like the Egyptian guy or the other cops. Like, you got to go down.
It has Stella Ward. I know her.
She was in the first season. She's not on it anymore. She's good. And then what else? I mean, I'm trying to think of what else on networks I like. I mean, like those, Mr. Mayor, I think is really funny, although apparently it's not doing well.
Is that Kat Dennings show still on?
Which one?
Two Broke Girls?
No.
Oh.
No. But she has a show on Hulu called Dollhouse, which I only watched the first season of, and that was super hilarious.
Dollface?
Yeah. With
my crush, Esther Pavitsky?
Yes.
I love that woman.
Yeah, that show is really, really good, and Esther's insane on that show, which is cool.
I have not watched season 2 yet. I do.
I haven't watched season 2 either. I want to watch that because I also want to watch MODOK at some point.
MODOK, I think, is hilarious. I don't know.
I hope so. I like Patton Oswalt, so.
But just the visual of that character makes me laugh every time. Like, It's this big giant head in a chair. Like,
yeah. I think that's actually made by the Robot Chicken guys. Now that I think about it. The guys who do production on it.
Style looks the same, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I will check that out.
Swim. Yeah.
So it sounds like I'm not missing much on network TV. I haven't.
No, it's like, it's a lot of like dancing talent shows and singing talent shows and game shows and
I guess I lie. I still watch the CW stuff, but I don't watch it live.
right.
I watch it digitally later.
Yeah.
I watch Kung Fu, which is not a great show, but I feel obligated to support it because there's Asian people.
Was that one of the ones that got canceled recently?
No, but it seems like they canceled everything else. I was so sad that Legends didn't get its final season. I love Legends of Tomorrow.
Right. I know that one got canned, so did Batwoman.
Yes. And then the recent ones were Legacies, Dynasty, Charmed, Naomi, In the Dark, Roswell.
Naomi got canceled. Really? Wow.
Yeah. This is the first and only season, right?
Yeah.
But are they still doing Tom Swift?
Yes. They're still doing Tom Swift and
Superman and Lois.
And yeah, I think Superman Lois sticking around.
That's a great show. I miss Greg Garcia's shows. He used to love his humor. Where did he go? Is he alive? Is this a death that I don't know about? But I did love My Name is Earl.
Oh yeah.
Has he done anything lately? Let's see.
What have you done for me lately?
Whatever happened to Jason Lee? What is that guy up to?
I don't know.
He used to be my favorite. Like I loved him in the Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah.
And then
the last thing I saw him in was I think he was in the last Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Yes.
Yeah.
And then maybe he's not leveling up.
I don't know. I guess he'll be in Clerks 4, I think they're doing now. Or are they on 3? I can
3. Like, did I miss 3 and not know about it?
That's entirely possible.
Oh, they started production on Ahsoka.
Yes.
I am excited for that.
I'm very excited for that. I love me some oh God, just forgot her name.
Rosario Dawson. Who was in Clerks 2. That was the connection there.
Yeah. And I love Ahsoka. So
yes, Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters. Greg Garcia had an extended interview on the 9 Club a few weeks back. Seems to be doing well. Oh, Jason Lee did.
Oh.
My bad.
Oh.
Good for him. He is a skateboarding and acting legend. Me. I don't know. I don't know if other people think any Kevin Smith actors are acting legends.
Well, I mean,
well, yeah, with Matt Damon and
Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, George Carlin, Bruce Willis. Although apparently
they did not like each other.
No, they did not. No.
I think Cop Out is an underrated movie. It's not a great movie by any means, but I love Tracy Morgan in that movie.
Right.
Like, that guy's just hilarious. And what's her face? Quincy Jones' daughter, Rashida Jones. She is just beautiful and talented.
Carrie Fisher was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Will Ferrell.
That's right.
He's gotten to work with some big
Marshall
people.
Willenholly.
Yes.
Character. Great character. And
he was
in the Land of the Lost movie too.
Yes.
Oh, Jeremy London. He was in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah. There's a couple people from Kevin Smith's movies that didn't quite go anywhere, like Linda Fiorentino and.
Yeah, she's allegedly difficult though to work.
Right.
Whatever happened to Joey Lauren Adams? Chasing Amy was my favorite.
She was also in Reboot.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't know what happened. I think she had like a kid
and decided to
retired, as people do.
Good for her. I like when people do that, because Hollywood can be so toxic.
Right.
What's her face from Charlie's Angels? And There's Something About Mary. She quit acting.
Cameron Diaz. Yeah.
Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, she was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to go start a wine company.
And she just seems so much healthier as a person now that she doesn't have to worry about especially for women. Like Hollywood treats them so poorly as they start getting older.
Yeah, although some of that stuff has changed a little bit. I mean, Michelle Yeoh is a great example of that, of somebody who's getting like really good roles and really good parts, as you know.
Yeah, but she's looked the same for 40 years because she's.
I was about to bring up Ming. What's her name? Ming-Na Wen.
Ming-Na Wen. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, as somebody else who's sort of getting a career resurgence. You know,
one of my friends has a major crush on her, largely from Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, she's 64. And I just mess with him that he has a thing for older women, you know, which is, you know, he messes with me for I don't want to get into it. That's just, I'm going to cancel myself.
Yeah. Once again, lawyers are standing ready.
I will stop being redacted.
Yes.
That's my new favorite word.
Maybe that should be the name of the podcast. Raymond and Paul are redacted.
I like repulsive, partially because I want to see if we can get sued by Logan Paul. It's good to have goals.
Yeah, I guess. I'd be more worried about getting punched, but.
So you're looking forward to Ms. Marvel for sure.
Absolutely. Ahsoka, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
There's just so much good stuff coming from Disney Plus and Paramount Plus. The Star Trek stuff has been really, really good.
I've not watched any of that yet, but I will eventually.
Discovery is really cool. The Boldly Go show that they just started is pretty good. Picard is hit and miss, but entertaining, especially if you were a big fan of Next Generation.
Which I am.
There's two cartoon shows, one of which is Lower Decks, which is
I've watched. I like it just because it's goofy.
Yeah, but the other one they did, which of course I can't remember the name of right now. The one that was like actually for kids is actually really good, and it's weird that they were like, "Oh yes, for kids," because I'm like, it seems way more mature than. I mean, not in a little kid shouldn't watch it way, but more just like in the sort of like, oh yeah, this is not childish. You know, kind of like the Star Wars cartoons, the original bunch, you know, Rebels and Clone Wars.
Right. Although Clone Wars, as it went on, seemed like there was like a maturity level. Maybe
there was never anything that was juvenile about that show. It's not like, they did that one cartoon about the people who were like pilots.
Yeah.
Like that one seemed really kind of,
that
was very kiddie-ish.
Yeah.
You know.
Rebels is still one of my favorite things ever. So good. Oh, here's a question for you. Paul, are you a fan of Stranger Things?
I am a fan of Stranger Things. And not just because it reminds me of a lot of the movies that I used to watch at my friend Steve's house when we were in high school and couldn't get an older person to buy us liquor. But yeah, it definitely, I like it that it harkens back to that kind of stuff, but I just also really like it. I think it's an very entertaining, well-written, well-done show.
I thought you were going in a way different direction with this Steve thing.
No. Well, we used to, when I was in like junior high school and high school, we used to go, me and my buddies, we also would go to Steve's house because he had a VCR and we would watch movies, like all kinds of like horror movies and all kinds of stuff.
Whose house?
Steve's house. But yeah, although it's funny to think back on it now because literally his TV was like this big.
I know. Well, yeah. I had a friend in Fordham who had a 13-inch TV.
Mm.
And we would watch like wrestling pay-per-views on it. It seems funny in retrospect. I'm like, how did like my fucking monitor is like 3 times bigger than that.
I know. I have an iPad that's bigger than Stu's TV.
Oh, technology.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a follow-up for you. I love it. Thank you, Zach Morris, for the questions. Any expectations, crazy theories on where it may be going this season?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they do not go to Russia to try and rescue the sheriff.
I have no idea what any of that means. But
there you go. I don't think that's going to happen, but I obviously somehow somebody trying to weaponize that other realm is going to still be the thing.
I love how insane that all sounds for someone that never watched the
Yeah.
Like, what? Who shot the sheriff?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the only pretty. I don't know.
Are you wearing a Dr. Zayas shirt?
I am. Bought this at Comic-Con.
That's fantastic. That's great.
I keep holding out hope for the musical, but
Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And on that note, I think we can leave the boys and girls. I did not promote this live, partially because I'm on a new computer, which is one of the reasons I haven't streamed in a while. My old computer was just dying, and I've been setting up this new computer, which is awesome. Got a Mac Studio. So far, I'm really loving it. Apple products are awesome. And I wasn't sure. I had to get everything working, and it does. And then also life stuff happened. But now I have plans for more podcasts.
Cool.
In the near future, I'm going to have my dear mentor and old boss, John Kiefer, on. I'm going to do a soccer-centered episode with our dear friend Marcus Beer.
Oh, right on.
And he's also Welsh and funny, and very potty mouthed and sharp witted. You might know him as the Annoyed Gamer, but I will promote this after it goes archived and people leave comments. Don't forget to check out Paul's website, paulsemel.com. Lots of great stuff on games, on books, really cool interviews with really interesting people. If you have any questions for Paul, follow him on Twitter at paulsemel.com. That's your website. I fucked that up. Follow him on Twitter at Paul Semel. And that's me. I'm the senior editor of Horse and Hound. And all my social media stuff is down there. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Please subscribe and keep watching. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching RPAD TV 3000 with Paul Semel.